Welcome back to a further edition of Men's Inner Health with Mark Randall. In this conversation, I would really like to talk about something that's very close to my heart, and that is men. When are we going to start opening our hearts to self, others, and all that is? It's not an easy place to go into. It's really interesting. A lot of our heart space, I know this might sound woo-hoo for some of you guys, but in Eastern philosophy, the heart chakra is the center of the emotional space. And yes, look, I don't want to go into the inside, I just want to keep this stuff simple really. But the heart is it's the center of the emotional self. We men have got beautiful hearts, which I just don't think we realise it, because we've been taught to suppress everything there, and it's just unbelievable, honestly. It's big for me, learning to open our hearts. Yeah, opening our hearts, we need to confront, we need to face a lot of stuff that's hidden and buried, a lot of old hurts, a lot of old pain points, and we don't know how, a lot of those pain points, as soon as that emotional pain, bang, it's converted to anger and frustration, or we shut it all down, lock it all up, and the quality of our lives just goes to shit. Learning to come from our hearts, that's the key to me in this process of, because deep down inside our hearts is our essence. It's that beautiful, unconditional, it's a great place. Look, I wish I could live in there 24/7. I wish. But the more we practice, that's by learning how to emotionally process, not intellectually. Yes, we do need to intellectually process our emotions, but emotionally process these emotions and learning to release them. And a lot of the times, difficult emotions, painful emotions are going to come out as tears, and we men have been taught to suppress, and perhaps we need to unlearn that and stop suppressing them and practice learning how to surrender into these difficult, painful emotions and start to learn to just let the body do the work. The body knows how to do this. The body knows how to process. And yeah, guess what? A lot of deep, difficult emotions, disappointments, losses, griefs, disconnects with our partners, that emotional disconnect or conflict, that can hurt. Instead of converting it to anger, how do we surrender and breathe into, soften into the pain, and perhaps learn to grieve, learn to have the tears, it's being open-hearted. When we're at a funeral, being open-hearted, just let our tears come. Instead of hiding the tears with dark sunglasses, take the glasses off. We all know, we all know what's going on underneath the glasses. And just imagine that loved one. Imagine, if it were possible, they're up in the universe and they're looking down and they're seeing you hiding your tears with dark sunglasses on. What are they going to say? Imagine taking those, and they're seeing your grief. They're seeing, they can see that the sadness that's pouring out, the tears that. Wow, how much could that emotion, them seeing that emotion, be an honor to them? Be an honor. Wow, hey, he or she did love me that much. Learning to come into our hearts, to connect more and more to the unconditional love that is deep in there. We have that ability. We all have that ability as human beings. That ability can come out in times of crisis. I don't know about you, but I did a podcast years ago called The Heart of Connection. the heart of connection. And we had a meditation day when the tsunami hit on that Boxing Day. When we all come from that unconditional love, when there's a world catastrophe, the whole earth is enveloped with love and compassion for the victims. Those young boys that were stuck in the cave. The world just, the compassion and the love of the world just it's like an invisible, beautiful envelope covering the world. Well, guys, we've got that inside ourselves, and the greatest form of self-development is learning to open our hearts, become more open-hearted. Maybe this is my hobby horse because maybe I'm a sensitive delegate. Who knows? It doesn't matter. Yes, we've all got vulnerabilities. We're all sensitive to varying degrees. The more we open our hearts, and we're able to connect to the mindfulness, the unconscious, the mindfulness, that unconditional loving kindness, mindfully be in that zone. What would that zone do to your quality of life? What would that zone do for your partner, for your children, for your extended family, your community? What an amazing energy that would hold. When we're more open-hearted, what would that open-heartedness do for you when you're not coping? Would it accept and be gentle and kind and caring and allow you to be able to grieve if you need to grieve? We have varying forms of when we at the end of a weekend, as the weekend is coming into close, we can go through a mild form of grief, loss of the weekend. It's not radical. But how do we learn as men to become more open-heartedness first to ourselves? Yes, it might sound selfish. It ain't narcissistic. It might sound selfish, but in that opening of our hearts, going through that stuff, there is, in that deepness of our heart, the unconditional love, which is selfless, can be selfless. How do we begin to care for ourselves, connect to that deep love, that unconditional love, or even begin to build the connection to that? This is what I want to try and get across to men. The more we get this across to men, how often, we men, or when we're straight or we're not at the pub or something, isn't it interesting when men have had 100, I'm joking, but 100 sherbets, they'll put their arm around them, mate, and tell them that they love them. The next morning, wake up, oh shit, what do I say to my mate? Oh God. They say alcohol sometimes the truth drug. And there is that unconditional love for our mates. Why do we need to be pissed to say that? How do we openly support each other from this heart space? Imagine the empowerment of this heart space, that the more of that empowerment coming out to each other, to a community of men, instead of judging it as a weakness. There's a strength in that. There's a power in that. The empowerment of that. How would that improve your quality of life? Be gentle and enjoy.